Today we turn to the Gospel of Mark, chapter 9, verses 2 through 9. And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up on a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His garments became glistening, intensely white, as no fuller on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, and they were talking to Jesus. And Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is well that we are here. Let us make 3 booths, one for you and one for Moses and one for Elijah." For he did not know what to say, for they were exceedingly afraid. And a cloud overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the sun and the cloud, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." And suddenly, looking around them, they no longer saw anyone with them, but Jesus only. And as they were coming down to the mountain, he charged them to tell no one what they had seen until the Son of Man should have risen from the dead. This is the reading of the Word.
Thanks be to God.
When I and Chad got engaged, and I realize now that I had completely forgotten to switch my ring out from the one I wear to work out with. But when he opened the box, my eyes went, and I played for days with that diamond ring in the sunshine. Those of you who have any sort of flashy jewelry know how fun it is. I was dazzled. But you see, here we have 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John. And if you've read through Scripture, you're aware that those are some of the most foundational disciples to the ministry of Christ. They are the ones he generally calls on to do things, to stay up when he's praying, to send forth, to ask. You know, we all have those people, don't we? And they go with him on a high mountain. And they watch him transfigured before him. His garments became glistening, intensely white, as no cooler on earth could bleach them. Don't you all wish that would happen to your whites? Now, this particular version of Scripture is the RSV, and it's not quite the same as the NIV or the NRSV. Those use the word dazzled. His garments dazzled them. Their eyes were astounded. I remember the first Christmas where we went downtown for the tree lighting ceremony. How many of you have done those lovely traditions? Wow. You need to. We have one here. But I was 3 or 4 years old. My parents took me downtown, right in Fountain Square, and the tree was so big, and we were waiting and waiting, and then the countdown of 10, 9, 8, 7, 2, 1. And they flipped the switch and the lights go on. Oh. You see, as people of faith, there is not much in life that really honestly makes us stop in awe, particularly into adulthood. you're walking by the window of a really nice store and you see a piece of jewelry that you're like, yeah. Now granted, I don't know if all of you are as enamored of some sparkly, shiny things as some of us are. It might be a new pair of shoes. It might be a baseball cap or a gun or something, who knows? But you know when you walk by it what it is that makes your eyes go big and wide and your heart fill with a little bit of desire. You see, the disciples, though, at this moment in time, were not just filled with desire, they were filled with fear, for they did not know what to do. They had Christ in front of him, the man they thought they knew, and beside him they appear Elijah and Moses, which, if you understand Hebrew scripture, are the two top individuals. I mean, if you read through the Old Testament, much of it is of the prophet Elijah, and much of it is Moses. I mean, hello, have you read Exodus? But they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to say. They were exceedingly overwhelmed by the sight in front of them. And then, in their natural inclination, what did they want to do? Protect it. Right? I mean, when you see something that overwhelms you and makes you crazy and goes, oh, I need that, I want to save it, I need to protect it. So they wanted to build tents, or huts, or depending on your translation, booths for them. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum or seen documentaries on it. It is fascinating. I almost picture the disciples going, okay, so how can we immortalize this moment? But then I realize that here we have that moment immortalized. Actually, it is right by Monty. If you look at that window right there, yet, isn't it beautiful? Jesus transfigured into white garments, Moses and Elijah beside him, immortalized forever. Yet they didn't know what to do. Because suddenly around them they no longer saw anyone with Jesus. So who would believe them? I mean, we know the truth that seeing isn't believing, and believing is, wow, seeing. Okay, maybe haven't quite gotten that far yet. The story of the transfiguration of Christ, where he is transfigured into a figure that is on the same level as two of the greatest people known to the Hebrew culture, that of Elijah and Moses, is a transformative moment in his understanding of the disciples and how the disciples understood him. Because it is at this moment there's a recognition that he is more than just a teacher. He is more than just a prophet. It elevates him in his disciples' eyes to more. But what You see, we read this story, and as people of faith, how do we react? Are we dazzled and overwhelmed by the fact that in front of us is Christ, the Messiah, the one to whom we have been praying and waiting for? Or do we as people of faith go, oh, this is a lovely story in our scriptures that we read? It's so familiar that it no longer is exciting. It's lost some of its shine, right? I had a dear friend in college who used to wax their car every week. It was pristine, inside and out. Then, of course, got in a wreck. Go figure, right? And it lost some of its newness. It lost some of the shine. You see, we are only in the 9th chapter of Mark, and it goes on several chapters to tell the story and the history of more of Christ's teaching. And in fact, at the end of this transfiguration, what are the words that he says? He says, don't tell anyone yet. It is not yet time. We as people of faith take that to heart, perhaps too much. Because you see, we're not the disciples at the top of the mountain with Jesus. We're the disciples here and now. So who are we telling about Christ? You see, those words are not for us. It's the words at the end of Matthew that say, go therefore and make disciples. It's the words at the end of Mark that say, go and tell all that you have heard the good news. It's the words at the end of Luke that say, go. My hope and my prayer as we enter into the season of Lent is that we're dazzled. We see the shine of Christ in brilliant white. But that we recognize that it's not something we cannot not share. And I recognize it's a double negative. You need to keep up. Because when we read through the Gospels as people of faith today, we can't just take certain parts and pieces and say, oh, this is only part and piece right now. We have to read it as a whole. And allow it to overwhelm us so that we are like, ooh, did you know? Did you know that Jesus went to the top of a mountain and was transfigured? So that his garments were whiter than the most white thing you have ever seen. Did you know that he went into a tomb and then 3 days later he rose from the grave? Did you know that he's gone to prepare a place for us? See, this is just one moment in time when Christ overwhelms the disciples. When he shows them his true self, who he is and what we believe in. He's transfigured before them so that they might be transfigured inside. My hope and my prayer as we enter into Lent is that we will share this. We will go and tell the news. We will go and share how dazzled we have been by Christ's presence in our lives. Because those final words, where he charged the disciples then to tell no one what they had seen until the Son of Man should have risen from the dead, matter. Because the Son of Man has risen from the dead. He's risen from the dead. To go and share what we know